Hello, Cryptonauts, and welcome back to another episode of Cryptocurrency Chat. Today, I have Stephanie and Ed with me, both from Hacker Dojo. I had an opportunity to go on their podcast. What was it, a couple weeks ago, right, Stephanie? It's been a couple
Yeah, it
weeks.
was. Yeah, it
It,
was our lightning talk. It was on the March one, and it's a very interesting talk. And we're very glad to have you there with us, John.
it was. Thank you, thank you. So, before we get started with the general questions, I'm always curious of what my guest did before what they're currently doing now. So, if you don't mind, I don't want your introduction yet. I want to know what you did before what you're doing now. So, Stephanie, what did you do before? Let's talk about like 5, 10 years ago. What did you do before you even got to this point here?
So it's a very interesting story. My first major in linguistics. I never think of doing anything that related to tech because like how I don't really plan anything related to tech yet. So and then I switched when I come to US, I switched my major to marketing. And after having my degree in marketing, started to apply for job, having my resume out, and I received a interview invitation from Ed, and I saw the name Hacker Dojo. Um, we live in the Bay Area, so tech always be a very big name, and Hacker Dojo, like I'm very curious, right? So when that so my background, I don't have a background in tech, but when I like I'm invited to go to the dojo, and then I see when I first come to the dojo is a very interesting scene. I saw people, a lot of people working, and people helping each other. And I work at the dojo since 2019, right? At like May, yeah, May 2019. So it nearly is almost 2 years now, and I'm a community manager at Hacker Dojo. So my job as community manager is to basically, just like your name, to understand about the community, to connect people together. Like say that you are looking for a coworker, you're looking for someone who can help you with, say, like a bug, or like to fix something. You can come to me, and then I know the right person who
Oh,
can
that's awesome.
yeah. So Hacker Dojo is a very interesting community. We have a diverse community. We have people who, like working in tech. We have people who work in math. We have people who spend most of the time in the makerspace working on a laser cutter. So it's a very good mutual learning environment, and that's why I have been with the dojo since then.
Nice, nice. So you right away off the top, you applied in 2019, right? That's what I understand. In 2019 is when you got into Hacker Dojo, and right away you applied for the community manager position, or did you just apply for a general position and then got the community manager position later on?
So before I working as a community manager assistant. So yeah, and then I become a community manager in at the end of 2019, so beginning of 2020. Yeah.
Okay, nice. Okay, Ed, how are you, Ed?
Good. Thanks for having me on.
All right, thank you, Ed. If you don't mind, with your introduction, what did you do 5 years ago, possibly even 10 years
Well,
ago?
10 years ago. Okay. 10 years ago, let's fast forward. I was in New York. I'm originally from New York. Um,
Ah,
I went to school for marketing and actually international business. So tech wasn't in my trainings in academia. Um, I joined while I was finishing up school. I had a lot of miscellaneous jobs. I was doing a bartender. I was doing real estate. I sold my first house at like 19 years old. So kind
wow.
of a nice little tidbit there. Um, but I actually joined a startup that was based in San Francisco, and they were putting screens up in cafes. And it started out with like, hey, we need to recruit cafes. I winded up supporting and recruiting 300, 300 venues in New York City. One of the fiercest, they call it, within advertising, they call it DMAs. There's one of the fiercest cities to acquire venues because, there's a lot of negotiating. So I was really young and I was acquiring these locations. And I finished and I said, okay, thanks. And then the startup back then, it was called Denu. They raised like $22 million seed. Back then, and they were funded by Kleiner Perkins. This is unheard of, right? They were expanding really fast, and New York City was one of their main targets, and they gave me the role of a network manager. So I did that for a couple of years. Essentially, what they were doing was putting TV screens up in cafes. So while you're waiting for coffee, you would look up at the screen, and then portion of the screen would have a customizable menu, and then the other side would have like hyper-local content. And at that time, when YouTube was first coming out, we're going back to maybe 2004, 2005 right now. So I'm dating myself.
That's okay.
And so we were expanding it. We got the networks up. While you're waiting for coffee, you would look, from 2004 to 2007, I was in charge of that network. If anybody remembers, you'd grab a cup of coffee, you'd see these funny cat videos. And then like on the side, there would be like this menu, customizable menu. Did that for a while. The problem with that startup, and not problem, but it just transformed, it evolved. People that waited on lines essentially started from looking up, started looking down into personal viewing devices, what they were calling it back then, right? This is this is before the iPhone. But the iPod was popular, but iPhone, 2010, that's when it really, like that time frame, 2007, 2010 is when it really started to pick off. So I took a break from the startup world, but it was really, really interesting. I got into tech. I learned a little bit about network. I learned about how Wi-Fi works, and how, simple, the simple PCB board can be operated to, take over a screen and show visualizations, and how does it connect to a network, and what does the backend look like? So it gave me a firm understanding of just like basic technology, and how it worked and what was available at the time. I took a break from that, and I went back to my marketing world, and I actually became a tour manager. And I basically did laps around the US, doing tours for big brands like LG, Pepsi, Lipton Iced Tea. And then one of my last tours was an EDM festival. So big festivals, events, you see branding, you'll see your banners up, you'll see people giving out stuff. I basically ran a setup at a particular location, and I would manage that. So I went from network manager to basically tour manager. I got to Cali in 2012, 2013. Ran a couple other marketing gigs, but then I started getting back to my startup itch. And I winded up in 2013, I joined the startup that was doing retail analytics, and basically it was doing multimodality. So it was using Wi-Fi, it was using computer vision, and then audio analysis to detect what people are doing inside retail stores. So essentially, the idea was, let's treat an offline store like an online store. And what they were calling it back then was the O2O bridge, offline to online. And that was really, really interesting. I think that was a little ahead of its time. It could get a little spooky on regards to privacy, but privacy was really big back then. So I did that for a while, business development, and then I went and ventured off and started my own startup. This is where Hacker Dojo comes into play. And essentially, I wasn't technical at the time. I was semi-technical. I was starting to learn Python to support some of the data analysis from the retail analytics startup. But I wanted to go into CPG analytics. I thought, hey, there's this huge problem with CPGs, which is consumer packaged goods. There's a high failure rate. What if we were to iterate and use data-driven creation of these products? So new flavors and new things come out. Let's sample it. Let's get the data back and drive that.
Sorry about that. Go ahead. Sorry.
No worries. So I did that, and that was a startup I ran for about 5 years, 5 years strong, and I coded everything myself. I had a little bit of help, but essentially, that's what brought me to Hacker Dojo. We basically hacked a vending machine. They let us hack it. We went to this place. We were looking for someone technical. We started talking to people. Some people wanted to help us, but then they gave me the comfort and support to go do it myself. And they actually let us hack their vending machine, break into it, repurpose it to give out free healthy samples at the Hacker Dojo at the time. And by the way, just to let you know, there was one only other machine operating at the dojo, and that was the very first Bitcoin in California.
Yes,
ATM.
Bitcoin ATM.
Yes.
Awesome.
So we were right next to it. The Bitcoin ATM machine was the front. Our vending machine that gave free healthy samples was in the back. And in order to get a sample, you would have to go through this little gamification. We had this whole gaming system where you get points for every question you answer, and we try to make it as fun as possible. We try to make food sampling and surveys fun. That was the idea. So I ran that for a while. Hacker Dojo, was going through a lot of a transition. They had to move, and then one day the board asked me, "Hey, do you want to help run the dojo? You're a cool, awesome volunteer. I've done fundraisers for the dojo. When on my spare time, I always helped out." They asked me to join the board, and within a year or two, I became the chair of the board. And then when we were in search for an executive director, it was kind of urgent because we had to transition out the old one. They asked me to step in interim. And from there, from the interim, I became the permanent. And that's where I am today. So yeah, that was kind of like I gave you a full.
That's awesome. Thank you. So we officially have the executive director from Hacker Dojo here on the Cryptocurrency Chat podcast. So that's great. I thank you once again. I'm going to thank you for being on the podcast, okay? As well as Stephanie. Stephanie, thank you for being on the podcast. So I do have Jake with us. He is my co-host. He will be on standby. If any questions come up that you think that we should ask, definitely chime in if you can, okay? So, with that said...
I'm not going to be so able to do that, John. I'm in the middle of driving, so I don't want to really interrupt.
No worries, no worries. Okay. Okay, then. Next question. Now that we're up to date, what projects are you guys working on? I mean, we're in the COVID era, obviously, and we're slowly getting out of it now in April 2021. And I'm sure it was very difficult last year. Is there, what's going on? Let's just start with that. What's going on with Hacker Dojo right now? Because I know that a lot of things have transitioned over, online, but what's going on right now? Ed? Sure.
So Hacker Dojo is a 501c3 nonprofit, like at our core function. We're a non-essential, right? We can go through loopholes and make ourselves positioned for essential, but I think it was important that we had to close early and close down to safeguard the community. I think, we support a knowledge-based occupation, right? We support people who normally will be online. The magical thing about Hacker Dojo is that it's the offline place for people that usually are online to come and actually be personable and talk to one another and communicate. And the higher the bandwidth, the more transactional knowledge, right? So it's better to be in person, right? And I think with the pandemic, it was very, very important that we safeguard that community. And it was a very tough decision. We had to basically close down the dojo. And just a full transparency, we had to kind of negotiate out of our lease, otherwise this could have run the dojo to the ground. So we were able to do that. And then we got our most vital tools and miscellaneous things and put it in storage, locked it away. And then for the past year, we've been trying different experiments, trying to keep our community connected virtually and trying to look at different offerings and trying to keep in touch with the founders. But more importantly, and I'll let Steph talk about it because I think she did a great job, handling it, was our workforce development program. So we were taking underserved communities, low to middle income individuals. We were providing a cold start, getting them into tech. There was a online component for like a boot camp, and then the offline, which was we had mentors, actual members who were volunteering and coming forth and providing some time to give them some insights on learning web development, cybersecurity, and data science. So that's what's been going on for the past years. We've been virtual, we've been offline, and we were trying to keep our community connected and safe.
And I'm assuming these offers are still available. These memberships are still available, correct?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So I mean, today as a virtual membership, it's $10, right? And then you get we have a Slack channel. You get your own G Suite, which is G Suite. You can have like unlimited storage in the drive, and you get your own Hacker Dojo email, and you can connect with the community. It's awesome. Where we're going now, I think the second part of the question was what's the current status. current status right now, we are aggressively looking to open the dojo back up. So, the Governor Newsom released that June 15th is the hard open. Well, hopefully, I think it is. But I think we need to position ourselves to start for the reopening, even if it's at some kind of tiered level or a limited access. We need to get our community back inside the dojo in a safe space and building again. The exciting thing is we're looking at a brand new space. We're soliciting ideas from the community about what tools they want. We're grabbing ideas from everywhere about what ideally would the next new dojo look like. And if those who are not familiar with Hacker Dojo, essentially we were one of the original hacker spaces out here in Silicon Valley. You did have Noisebridge, who's out in the south, the north, in San Francisco. I think they were a year up on us, and then you had Tech Shop. They opened like 2008. But we're one of the early spaces that we didn't have a WeWork. We didn't have these co-working spaces. We had a place where you can come and drink coffee and code,
Yeah.
right, and get help. So we want to get back to the essence. We want to be able to host some hackathons. We want to be able to get our makerspace up and running. We have our laser cutter. But yeah, we're aggressively we're actually, like, tomorrow, I'm going with the board to go look at like 3 locations in all different areas. So we're looking anywhere in the Mid-Peninsula area.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Stephanie, I do have a question for you.
Yes.
So with Hacker Dojo, I want to ask you, I'm sure Ed can answer it as well, but I want to ask you, within Hacker Dojo, are there career opportunities for people that are just starting off? Let's say for somebody that just started off brand new and has learned how to code with Hacker Dojo. Is that something that you guys actually need? I know it's a 501c3, but are there actually career opportunities through that, or do you guys provide connections to companies for career opportunities?
So, thank you for your question, John. So, like Ed mentioned earlier, we have a program called Transition to Tech 2020. That's the one that you are looking at right now. So, what it do is basically give the low and mid-income population in the Bay Area a chance to learn about tech with no cost. So, it's like a scholarship, but in this case, you can choose to learn from cybersecurity, web development, or data science. And we have mentors that actually that they are member of a dojo themselves. So we are very appreciate the help. We have a lot of people, the member of a dojo that volunteer their time to be a mentor of this program, and they are there online, like available for question from the mentee whenever they have, like some question, or like they face a difficult bug in their online course that they cannot, work through. So that's one thing. We provide like a platform for people to, get to know each other, and basically like a mutual learning, environment. So let's say that, like our mentor, people that know, like have knowledge in like data science, in cybersecurity, in web development, and they help the mentee by, like tell them what they know, and in exchange they have a chance to, sharpen their knowledge, and it's a good opportunity to help back to the community as well. And for the dojo, beside the transition to tech 2020, for the dojo, we do not have like we host event, right? We have event that we host ourselves, like the AI series that we hosted very successfully back in 2018. And we have online program, right, online events right now, because we closed so all of the event currently. We can find on event.hackerdojo.com or meetup.com/hackerdojo. And we have events ranging from a lot of different, like topic, mainly tech related. And especially like you already know, John, we have a lightning talk that you was a guest speaker
Yes.
a few weeks ago. Yeah. So those are what we're doing, and when we open back up, we hope to resume certain activity that we have been doing, like providing a playground for the future generation, for them to come in, to learn, to hack, to like to work in the maker space, for people to create connection, meet their new coworker, their new employer, just like what happened back then when we have Pinterest. Like Pinterest come in, work, the founder in Pinterest come in, work at the dojo and hire the first to engineer our dojo. That what we've been doing. We hope to continue to doing so, like helping the future generation to transition into tech, and like help them to do what they want to do for the tech career.
Thank you. I've been experimenting with this virtual world called Braveland. I don't know if you guys heard of it, or actually I mentioned to you guys, but or seen any videos. But that's an interesting platform to use. I think would actually benefit Hacker Dojo. I'm not trying to shill it per se, but I think it's beneficial in the sense that there is actually office studios. There's studio rooms there, and there's even conference halls there where you can bring your community there, and they even have the ability to basically screen share directly off of a projector within the conference hall. That's an awesome way to have everyone join together in a community, in a conference hall, with their avatars, which is pretty cool because these are actually real people. So instead of just watching, people's icon on screen, you actually have real avatars, people walking around, people enjoying what's going on in the world. But you can also teach people there with the display. I think that's something you guys should check out. Just test it out. Test it out. That's what I think.
Yeah, I would say that Hacker Dojo is one of the best places. For speaking from experience, it's the best place to kind of test anything. It's a testing ground. It's a platform. It's not only for a place where people could connect. I would say, just to kind of go back to the question of career opportunities, Hacker Dojo has always been an amazing place where people come, for a month or two or a couple weeks, connect with others and find opportunities, because you'll have people moonlighting from LinkedIn, Amazon, Facebook, you name it, right? If they're within an arm's distance, a throw, whatever you want to call it, a ping away, they're good, and they're in the valley. They're probably going to stop by the dojo either to meet with someone. We've hosted 6,000 events in 10 years.
Wow.
So, yeah. So we're a great event space, and they're all tech related. And yeah, we can go into some of the cool events that we had in the past.
Yes, please, because I know there's one that you're gonna say, and that's the one I want to hear. Now, is there a link here that I can click on? Maybe.
Yeah. So if you go, to events, well, now our events are kind of light, right? So we go to events. It'll go to events.hackerdojo. Let's see. Oh wait, I'm a membership hosting event. Maybe scroll down. Actually just go to events.hackerdojo.com.
events.hackerdojo.com.
So yeah, usually this is like accessible from the members portal. So now here's an interesting thing you can also do. You can put events.hackerdojo /past. Unfortunately, it only goes back maybe 6 months. But if it did have the capability, you could go see all the past events with some interesting guests we've had in the past. But yeah, so you'll see a lot of deep learning, a lot of interview prep that we've been hosting for this past year. One of the co-founders of Hacker Dojo, Jeff Lindsay, he's actually doing this really cool thing with Twitch, and he's streaming like live coding. He's actually helped out, produce some really notable projects like Docker, and actually he was one of the early folks working on webhooks, where essentially now people just know as APIs. So yeah, Jeff Lindsay's definitely an interesting person to follow and check up on. He's one of the two co-founders of Hacker Dojo, him and David Weekley.
Awesome.
So the career, what I wanted to get back to is the career opportunities. I think the dojo is a great place where you can come to connect with individuals. If the dojo ever does decide, we ever push and we get some growth going, we're going to need some. We're going to add people to the team, but that's not in the foreseeable future. Within a year or two, we need to get back and get open again.
Yeah.
But yeah, career opportunities, they're there. People have found jobs at the dojo through networking and connecting with members.
Now, we did talk off the record, but now I want to bring it on the record in regards to a very prominent person in blockchain technology that actually was at the Hacker Dojo giving his spiel, pretty much talking about his white paper, from my understanding. Were you there?
Was there working on the vending machine.
Okay.
I was probably there in another room somewhere.
Now I don't want to. I don't want to say it right now who it is, but I kind of want to just peel the layers and try to, let the listeners try to figure it out. So,
well, we're talking 2014. What major white paper it would have been? At that time, 2014, where an individual would be looking to get more developer support. If they do a quick search on the particular currency, or we're going to call it the crypto coin, plus our name, you'll get the exact video, or the person. You can actually, if you put Hacker Dojo, that person's name, you'll pull up a video.
Nice.
So if they're doing that right now, they're already pulling it up, and maybe within the next 20 seconds, they'll have the answer.
Okay. This person also had an ICO early on for the blockchain.
Yes.
So what to say? Vitalik Buterin. So Vitalik Buterin was at Hacker Dojo, and this was before the Ethereum actually became to fruition, right?
Yes. It was very early, and it's interesting if you watch the YouTube video, he goes into detail of the potentials of what the dynamics of it.
Okay, so keep in mind this man, and he was a young man, and correct me if I'm wrong. I think he was 17 years old.
Yeah.
17, and he's going over there and doing this.
Yep.
Can you just, in words, describe the energy that he had, or what his direction was?
Very chill person, right? Like most developers, very reserved and very thoughtful about, especially when it's their project. They're very thoughtful in the answers. There was the dojo. Members are always curious. They themselves pick away at it and peel away, and will ask really obscure questions. But just from the technical perspectives, I think that was a very very early time for cryptocurrency. And for things to break away just from what we knew back then, just as Bitcoin, to hear new emerging. So essentially. It was just so early, right? Like I remember seeing a sign that said, because I think it was him and Christian Peele. Christian Peele was I think he was a member who was helping bring Vitalik in. And you would always see these new emerging frameworks like Angular, and usually Angular started getting Polymer was kind of popular back, so different derivatives of JavaScript. So they were all these different frameworks coming out and being experimented on. When you see an Ethereum event. When you heard of it, it was like, oh, another JavaScript framework. Essentially it is a JavaScript framework, but it just mixed in with all the other new experimental projects that people were looking to socialize and to support. But it was exciting. There's members who to this day were die-hard Ethereum fans because of that event. They were there. And they supported, and they we actually had one member who passed away, James Turley. He was like our hardcore Ethereum advocate at the dojo, and he would come out every day and he'll tell people how much Ethereum he bought recently, and he didn't care if it went down. He would just buy more and more, and he loved it. He because he was there back in. I think he was one person that was at that actual talk. But yeah, the talk is actually on. The audio is not great, but the whole video is online. Perfect. And you can watch it from the start.
So Ed and Stephanie, the question I want to ask: are you guys into crypto? Do you guys actually hold a crypto bag, or do you guys just know about it but not involved?
I'll let Steph go first.
So I know about crypto, but no, I don't, like hold into any crypto right now. It's a totally different, a totally different currency that I don't think that I understand it about enough to, to invest in it right now. Yeah. So I think Ed will have more answer to this.
Yeah. So I'm bullish on crypto.
Okay.
So yeah, I do own quite a few currencies. I'm kicking myself in the rear end for not purchasing Bitcoin at the dojo for $200 when I was there. Like
Yeah.
it was right there.
Yeah.
Coinage. The company was called the manufacturer of the ATM was called RoboCoin.
Yes.
Um, and the name of the company was called Coinage. Both are completely out of business. How do I know this? I have people pinging me, asking me, "Hey, can I redeem? Is there any way I lost that paper receipt with the address and password? Is there any way I can give you my name and my ID to reclaim my address?" And I'm saying, "I'm sorry, I can't. You probably have a lot of money's worth of Bitcoin, and
Yeah.
it sucks." But yeah, so during that time frame, the price was around it went from 300, 400, and it kind of went back down to 200.
Yeah.
And I regret passing by that machine almost every day for a long time and not buying one because we thought it was funny, right? We thought it was pizza coin.
Yeah.
We thought it that was, yeah. That was the only thing you could buy, right? And then just hold and hodl, just hold on
Yeah.
and hope that it actually turns into something.
So
So during that time it was but to answer the question really quickly, yes, I do. I actually even hosted my first NFT too on
wow.
OpenSea.
Wow.
So I have currency, I have MetaMask, I have wallets. I don't have a cold wallet. I didn't go that far. I know you're hardcore when you have cold wallet, like physical wallets, and I don't have that's. I think that's hardcore.
Yeah.
But I do have quite a few wallets, Coinbase, and yes, quite a few. I'm not like throwing my whole salary at it, but I have some.
All in, man. All in. Diamond hands. 100%.
Diamond hands, diamond hands. Yes.
I've been into crypto since 2010, and I remember Bitcoin, and pretty much it was just Bitcoin. But there wasn't really, it was like a handful of things. I think Dogecoin, Litecoin, maybe I think Feathercoin was available on exchanges. But Bitcoin was the only prominent one that you can actually buy. And I went to San Francisco to use the Bitcoin ATM machine out there. And actually, I looked it up, and Hacker Dojo was on the list with the Bitcoin ATM machine. But I said, you know what? If I'm going to do this, I never been to San Francisco. This is going to be my first time going out there. I like Bitcoin. I want to go out there and check it out and go through that whole experience with that ATM machine. So that was within it, just doing things on the blockchain. My first, physical transaction there doing it. And I bought myself what did I buy? A Bitcoin keychain. I guess, yeah, keychain with the Bitcoin logo on it. So that was my Bitcoin transaction. Now, at the time, it was worth $5. Now it's probably worth maybe like $500, $1,000 for that thing, right? Ed,
Yeah.
have you ever read the Satoshi white paper?
I haven't, but I understand the concepts. So Byzantine, how it works, I understand the concepts.
Okay.
But I haven't gone in and I the white papers, I'll scan through it and check it out. But I'm not a hardcore advocate like Bitcoin. I mean, cryptocurrency, crypto is not cryptography in general is not my strong suit. It's more in just developing and front end, more mobile. So I wouldn't say that I'm a hardcore crypto guy.
Okay.
So I'm not the one to kind of dig deep. If I'm buying a coin, or I'll review like the first couple pages of it just to kind of see what structure they're using and stuff. But I haven't read his paper.
Okay. So
now it make me want to though.
I'm gonna send it to you. Don't worry about that. After this, I'm gonna send it to you just so I can be at peace of mind that I gave it to you. So don't worry about that. You'll get it.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Now that you're the executive director of Hacker Dojo, what advice would you give someone wanting to pursue a career or this position that you have? Like, yeah.
So, I have kind of a circle of other executive directors of nonprofits. Hacker Dojo is a very interesting, very unique type of nonprofit. But typical nonprofits, an executive director has to wear many hats. They usually say that the job finds them. Usually, and that's why I think the executive role found me. But essentially, it's the CEO of a company, right?
Mm-hmm.
You need to know compliance with government. You need to have you need to be have a strong financial background. Well, not super strong, but you need to be able to have your books, right? Your taxes, your 990s, all that to run. There's a lot of paperwork and a lot of reporting to run a healthy nonprofit, and a lot of transparency. You have to work with the cities. Sometimes you need to be able to multitask a lot. So it's quite a job. If you get bored easy and you like to do multiple things, almost, but you will be dealing in every facet of the company because or the organization because everything impacts it. Anywhere from legal to financials, compliance, governance, HR. Staffing, working with your board. So I have to every month get a report to the board. This is just some, ED 101s.
Yes.
Fundraising, very important. Fundraising, very hard. You wearing many hats for ED. You have to be really passionate about the mission of the nonprofit.
Yes.
And I think that's I love the Hacker Dojo. I think if it wasn't for the dojo, I wouldn't know how to code, and I wouldn't be in tech today. And I've made some really great experiences and met a lot of cool people. So it's kind of my give, and I tell everybody this now, it's like my give back right now. My number one goal right now is to get the dojo in a place where it's sustainable for more people to come, and it can run forever for the next 100 years.
Nice. Thank you.
The problem with that is that it's location based. So we are at the mercy of real estate and inflation. And,
Yes.
you want to make this thing affordable and accessible and inclusive for everyone, but it's hard when you have these huge, if we're looking for a 20,000 square foot space at $2 a square foot, we're looking at expenses anywhere from 40 to 50K a month, and that's not even talking staff, right? Like, and then,
now when you say we're looking, is it the rest of this team here, this board of directors? We got David Weekly.
Yes, other founder.
Okay, he's the founder. David, Tanya. What is it? Olya
Zarembo.
Okay, Zarembo. And then we have Vlasta, Tom, and Emily.
Yes. This is the board of directors.
I'd like to jump in and ask. I've served on many a board myself, and it's funny you're talking about the Hacker Dojo now. It's been great to listen to all the history and all. But having served on many a board in Silicon Valley myself, I was just wondering if there's any friend of the dojo that can offer up their space. And the reason I say this is because it was the Clean Tech Open in 2009. I joined the team that won, and we were offered a space in downtown San Jose. That was for free. And the guy's like, well, we don't need this space. It's one of my warehouses. You guys can totally have it. And I was thinking, I wonder if that space is still available today, because I know that guy's still in business.
Yeah.
And he had a 55,000 square foot shop.
Wow.
So I might inquire. I might inquire with that guy. So, I mean, it is downtown San Jose. It's not Mountain View or on the peninsula where you guys want to be, but. And it's kind of in the area near the crux of the two freeways. But
absolutely. Hey, let's have that conversation. We're totally open to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I was thinking, I know a couple other people who might have spaces. Since I chaired the Electric Audio Association in Silicon Valley for 2.5 years, I might be able to find somebody in that space. There's a lot of retirees there. They've got an insane amount of money, and still may own property, Mountain View or on the peninsula and other places. And I know a couple other people who might lend a helping hand. They may not make it free, but they might make it cheap. Since it's a nonprofit, they might just they can use a write-off, right?
Right.
So I'm going to look into that, and because you're talking about, I was like, knowing that I've been to the Fairchild location of Hacker Dojo probably 10 times. Yeah. I know you guys haven't been there in a while, but it just makes me sad to see Hacker Dojo not have a home.
Yeah.
Home on the
Exactly,
web,
exactly.
but not have a home in person. It has to have a physical home, because like I was going there to do electric car work. You guys
Right.
had
Yeah.
at the time a space in the back you could open up a door and get the cars in, and
Yes.
I
Yeah.
needed that.
We had the
I
dock.
desperately needed that space. So
We're open to all those conversations. I'm on the same page. I think, having that place where everyone could go and crank out one of their ideas and work on whatever they have to, or find someone to help them, you know, where, the cheaper we get it, the cheaper the membership gets, right? We're
right.
operating like, if we break even at the end of the year, that's a win for us, right? Nonprofits, we're a nonprofit, so it's just it's unfortunate that all of our membership fees go to like the real estate versus more tools, or bringing better speakers, and bringing more resources, like let it go back into the organization to kind of help that cycle. But we're making the best of it. But if we do find an opportunity, we're very open to having those conversations. Those who can allow us to run the organization, and give home to people with ideas, and are tech-quisitive and love tech.
Probably not something for the podcast right now, and we can talk about this offline. But
Absolutely. Well, this is
but
for the speaker, for listeners too.
no, I know, and it's obviously something. But I was thinking, is like, does the Hacker Dojo franchise, and or have you guys even thought about it? But the other thing was, what are the donating organizations that you guys currently have lined up to help out?
So we've been receiving grants. So the Transition to Tech 2020 program was actually a grant. So we just started getting into grant writing. That was from the Federal Home of Banks and Loans in San Francisco. They helped out with that grant to allow us this pilot program for the workforce development. But other than the board, they help do their board commits. We have other smaller donors that send us some money. And also donations don't always have to come in cash, but also in kind. We've been getting some really cool components for aerospace, to support aerospace recently.
Right.
We just got 100 pounds of 3D printing filament, so we can't wait to crank that out. It's in storage waiting. But we haven't had any major donors. It's been pretty like member-driven, member-supported organization.
Okay.
We hope
Right.
to get more donors.
I can't. I mean, I don't have $500,000 to donate. If I did, I probably would give you guys something, because I want to see Hacker Dojo survive. I don't want it to see it disappear. It's important. It's a great tool. I mean, for the community, a helping hand, a learning space, and a useful learning space. That just like, I mean, for countless projects. I mean, like I said, I've never been to Hacker Dojo when it was physically open there at Fairchild, when it wasn't just buzzing with constant activity. And it's
that's when I joined.
So I will try to tap my resources and see if I can find anybody in the valley there that can offer a physical space for a reasonable price. It's hard to find. Cool. There was a guy that went to my church some years back. He's no longer with us, but he as in on the planet. And he,
right.
Well, I mean, no longer with us in my group, but my church. But yeah, anyways, he had a space in the area around where Google was. Google's over there on the north side of was it 101 in Mountain View, and they're everywhere. They're all over. They practically taken over. It's like I hate to call Google a weed, but it's a giant kudzu that's taken over the entirety of the north side of the freeway.
Yes.
And he had his shop over there, and I don't know what they did with it. I don't know if they sold it or not. But since he passed, I'm not entirely certain if Google didn't just buy it. But I was trying to think of it. I know you guys were Mountain View, so maybe that might be a place, but I got to find out. So. I just keep thinking, what can we do to make Hacker Dojo find a home again? So.
Yeah, no, we're cranking out some ideas. We're trying to talk to as many people as possible. There's some long-term projects and opportunities with the city of Mountain View we're talking to. We're looking anywhere from Redwood City all the way down to I would say Santa Clara. We came out of Santa Clara, but I think the magic is really going to be at Mountain Where it first started.
Anything
then,
near
you
the
know,
freeway is usually relatively inexpensive. I know quite a few stores that usually find property near the freeway.
oh,
Um,
we're looking.
okay.
Yeah.
I mean, we might, like I said, we can talk about this later, but
Oh,
I
absolutely.
just,
No,
I'm grateful.
That's awesome. Thank you, though.
That's
Thank you.
awesome.
Thank you.
See, that's great. That's amazing. I love it. I love it. I love it when the community works together. Ed, if you had the opportunity to step in my shoes as the host of the podcast and ask yourself a question, what would it be? Uh-oh.
Good question. I'm thinking, all right, what haven't we covered?
I feel like
I think
we did a good job covering just about everything. I went through the whole website, and we asked more questions.
I'll share a link with you. We did a documentary for the 10-year anniversary in Hacker Dojo. Hacker Dojo actually came out of another entity or a meetup.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So Hacker Dojo actually came out of a meetup called Super Happy Dev House. If you look in the history books of hackathons, and if you go right now and you Google hackathon and you look at the history, you'll see one that pops up in Canada, but primarily you'll see one that talks about Super Happy Dev House. And this is dating back 2001. I'll share a link with you on the essence of it, but essentially Tom Harrison, who's one of the founders, he's one of the board of directors now and also our system admin. We brought him back in the fold. He would host, his mom and his dad would host maybe 90 and started growing up to 200 people in their house. Wow. And cook for them for a whole weekend. And while these kids are all just coding and building cool things, Super Happy Dev House, and the list goes on and on. You'll see people that came out of, what is it? It was called WordLens at the time. Now it's called Google Translate. Octavio Good. There's pictures of Travis Kalanick there. Max Hodak, the president of Neuralink, he's in the documentary, and he would frequent the dojo. Chris Messina, the inventor of the hashtag, he was at the 10-year anniversary talking and supporting and talking about his experiences at Super Happy Dev House. And then they had so many of these over a period of almost 7 years, I want to say. And the last one, they said, hey, why don't we come up with a space where these meetups were really cool. We occupied some office, and it started to really grow. What if we got our own space and we could do this all the time? A place where we can hack, a hackathon that doesn't stop.
24/7. 24/7.
Yeah, that's what Hacker Dojo is. It's a 24/7 hackathon.
Yeah.
That was the original ideas. But back then, Dev House, they called it Dev House. They didn't call it hackathons. It evolved into this thing called hackathons because, and by the way, that's where the idea for people coming together and try to crank out products, the Facebook like button came out of. So there's a tie from the Facebook like button to Super Happy Dev House. So there's this family tree of all these great ideas and products that came out from Super Happy Dev House. And one of the impactful ones that actually got realized and came into real world is Hacker Dojo, and that's the one that kind of keeps that legacy. I'm hoping to bring back Super Happy Dev House and host them within Hacker Dojo when we open back up. That's my hope. But I can share a link with you to the Super Happy Dev House. Like it's a 10-minute doc. It's a short, but it kind of goes through all the people and their experiences for it. But that's probably the one thing I would ask: how did Hacker Dojo start?
Yeah.
And then our big home run, Pinterest being the home run.
Well, thank you for giving us the breakdown on that. I had no clue. I thought you guys just put it together right at the beginning, early on. I was guesstimating around 2015. I should have asked that. That's a good question.
Yeah, it started 2009, and then there was some organizational shift in 2012. I only joined in 2014. Mm-hmm. So there was a Wisman location, which was around the corner from Y Combinator, and that's where you were getting all these, the guys from Y Combinator who were getting these cool new startups hanging out at the Hacker Dojo at the Friday Night Lightning talks, drinking beer and exchanging ideas. And that's where it all happened. Like, there's a lot of cool stories about it, but yeah, 2009.
Awesome. Yep, that's the place I remember looking at it because I was living over in that area at the time. I was like, oh, I got to go there, and I just never made it until like 2012 or 2013.
Hey, I hear that a lot. Yeah, a lot of people said, yeah, it's there, but never made a chance. So I eventually got over there.
Yep, kept driving past it, going, I got to go to that place.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we can We're gonna have you pass by the next new location.
Perfect.
I'm nowhere near it. That's the reason I was asking if you guys did franchise, because I'm out in Sac Metro, so.
Oh, I see, I see. Well, we do have the paperwork lined up for, we did our homework. It's called Social Enterprising for Nonprofits. It's not called for profits franchising, but for nonprofits, it's called social enterprising. And this is something that became popular during 9/11 because a lot of nonprofits it was very hard for them to find fundraising because all the funds were going towards, that, tragedy. But,
Right.
that's where it became popular, where nonprofits started to kind of expand and open up like hubs and expand their services and offerings. But yeah, we are lined up positioned for that. If anyone's interested in opening up a Hacker Dojo, there is a formula that helps you win. We have that formula, and anyone who's interested in opening up their own Hacker Dojo, we have a wiki on it too. They can definitely inquire.
Cool.
Perfect. All right. So I'm going to get Stephanie on. And because Stephanie, to my knowledge, has been hosting all these meetups online. And so far, they've been doing pretty good. I mean, I was excited to be on one. As a matter of fact, what I did was I got off of work. I rushed back to my house, and I got on. And I was like, okay, don't screw this up. Don't screw this up. Don't screw this up. Okay, out of all the years, I don't want to say experience, well, the years of knowledge of crypto, hopefully I can answer some questions. And it was so nice just to get these questions coming through. And actually, Ed, you did a lot of it. You actually helped me flow through this a lot more smoothly, because to be honest, I was nervous without a doubt. I was nervous being on someone else's platform because I wasn't too sure of the difficulty in questions that you're going to give me. I was like, no, these guys, they're going to tear me up. I'm not going to know the answer to them.
No.
I'm not going to know the answer to them. But overall, I mean, it was great. So that the YouTube's out there. Anyways, Stephanie, the question is, what's the question? Where can our listeners connect with you online? Obviously, you do have the website, but are there other platforms that you use that the listeners and YouTubers can go check out and learn more about Hacker Dojo?
For everyone listening to the podcast and wanted to know more about the dojo, you can go to hackerdojo.com. We also on social media, so it would be facebook.com/hackerdojo, twitter.com/hackerdojo. We also on Instagram and LinkedIn. So everything is just, Hacker Dojo. So Instagram/Hacker Dojo and LinkedIn Hacker Dojo as well. So you can find all the updated news on there. I update all of our events and, important announcement for our members and for the community, like what's coming up with the dojo, what is our plan, and what exciting event that happening this week. So the easiest way to see how the dojo is doing is either to become a member. Like Ed mentioned earlier, we are having a virtual membership. And with this virtual membership, you can connect with us on Slack channel, and get to know other member of a dojo through Slack. And you can also get yourself a Hacker Dojo email. So so that, and then, or you can go subscribe to our Facebook or to our social media, and you can connect with us from there. For myself, you can always connect with me, especially if you want to be the next speaker of our lightning talk. We always welcome for more feedback, more ideas, and like you said, John, when you go to the lightning talk, is you feel like there may be a lot of pressure, right? But it's actually very easy, and it's just like a normal talk. Yeah, it's the vibe, the lightning talk that we want to have is more of like you are a normal person, you having some interesting idea, you're looking for feedback for what you're doing, and you just come in and have a quick talk, 5-10 minutes. Hey, here, what am I doing, and I would like to hear from you guys, what can I do better. That's the vibe of the lightning talk that we have. Yeah, and for me, so sorry, if you want to connect with me, especially about a lightning talk, I can be reached via my email, stephanie.vu@hackerdojo.com. You can also find me on LinkedIn, but I respond via email much faster. And I'm the one who managed the social media for Hacker Dojo as well. So you can send, like a question related to Hacker Dojo via social media, and I will get back to you as soon as possible. But then again, the easiest way to reach me is via my email, stephanie.vu@hackerdojo.com. I strive to answer email within 24 hours of business hour. And you will hear from me as soon as, like, because for now, I'm the one who managed event, answer email. So there may be a delay in answering, but I will get back to you as soon as possible.
No, I'm hoping that with this podcast episode being published out here probably tonight or tomorrow, that it's a crypto podcast, and there's actually a moderate following with the podcast, and there's a lot of developers and a lot of projects being built and being created, and they are trying to get on the podcast and trying to talk about their projects. And I'm hoping that some of these projects will definitely go to you and try to get feedback from you. Absolutely, without a doubt. I think that's going to happen. That's my vibe. I'm crossing my fingers that I'm going to be able to send you some good energy and get some people over to your side, without a doubt.
Yeah, thank you, John. Yeah, there's a lot of connection that happen via our line talk. There, like for example, we have a member who working on a easy coding environment, and when we host a lightning talk, among the audience, there's actually a former QA, and they actually connected to after the like the lightning talk, and they talk about he gave him some feedback on how to like improve his project. So that's a thing that we would love to have in a dojo, that people find a connection, find a networking, and help each other out. That's the spirit. And we know that there's a lot of members and former members have been reaching out and ask when we can reopen. So we would hope, we hope, and we would love to make it happen as soon as it, safety to do so. And bring the community back together, because we feel like in-person connection is very important. I mean, the virtual event is great, right? But people always want to see, like other people in person. It's just like when you're working on your laptop, and if you have a question, you can just turn to the person next to you and ask a question. For example, if I'm working in a dojo and if I have some question about electric, I can go to say Jonker, right? Jonker is actually one of our long-term members, and he had been supporting us a lot. Yeah, so that things like that, like small things happen inside dojo, and we would love to make it happen again.
Awesome.
Okay. I'm sorry I have to bow out. I've got another meeting to go to. Thank you for having me in, and thank you for all the great info. I'll get back to you, Ed.
Thank you, Jake.
We're actually going to go ahead and wrap this up, by the way. So thank you, Jake, for being on. So with that said, thank you, Ed. Thank you, Stephanie, for being on the podcast. Greatly appreciate you guys talking about Hacker Dojo. It's one of those things that it's been on my radar for a while. I've been looking at it. But I'm one of those people that I'm going to wait to have that physical contact, because just like Stephanie said, I feel more comfortable having that person next to me to help me out and guide me along the way of learning how to code. I myself I'm not a coder. Everybody says that I'm a coder. I'm a coder, but I'm not. I don't feel confident to take that title. So I without a doubt, Ed, you will see me at Hacker Dojo once you guys open up. I've already put that in writing. There it is. Okay.
I'd love to have you. I'd love to host.
Absolutely. So Stephanie, Ed, thank you for being on the podcast. We're going to go ahead and wrap it up there. With that said, stack, sats, and hodl. Adios.
Thank you so much for having us on your podcast today, John, and hope to see you at Dojo soon when we reopen. And for everyone who listening to the podcast, John is a very talented person, and we are so glad to have him on our lightning talk. And if you have any question about Bitcoin, he's the one for you to go to ask. So yeah, with that being said, thank you, Ed, thank you, John, for for the podcast today. And then again, the dojo is a great place, and I have been learning a lot and have a lot of room to grow from my job at dojo. I'm always consider myself, like as a lucky person from because I always learn a lot from my previous job, like when I was at the ENSA as a teaching assistant, and at the dojo, I'm not only learn, how to be community manager, but learn a little bit about tech too. So that being said, thank you so much, John and Ed, for having us on the podcast today.
Thank you.
All right. Take care. Bye.
Bye.